hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me is going to be Sakura A, James, Rob. Big boxing weekend. It's weird to, go from a couple of weeks of almost nothingness to then this just explosion of boxing. It actually kind of doesn't make sense. It was just competing with each other all around the board. Everything at least except for the Golovkin fight, which we're going to touch on first. And that's only because it was a completely different time, early in the morning. So I had worked out when that fight was going to happen incorrectly, so I caught the replay of it. I definitely was not able to watch it live. But there's a lot of mixed feelings going on with that fight, guys. Golovkin, some thought looked in shape. Sometimes he does lose the early rounds kind of wears his opponent out and then chops him down like a tree later on. To me, guys, I saw a much more winded Golovkin. But I do want to get your guys' take, and I know, Rob, you said you wanted to take that topic, so here it is. I'm handing it right over to you.
Because I feel like this is going to be a common theme tonight with y'all amongst this panel, and I just kind of want to dead it in its tracks on how I feel. Guys, you're going to hear, and you may have the same opinion, but you're going to hear a lot of folks say, he looked worn out. He looked old. He didn't look himself. He looks like a fraction of what we know Triple G to be as. That's untrue. Okay? What you're seeing right now with Triple G and a lot of boxers is the COVID effect. These guys didn't fight that much at all in the last 2 years. There's going to be rust. Okay? You have to give him a little bit of grace. And in this fight, let's face it, Golovkin did what we wanted him to do. He got the knockout victory. And that's all that's important to me with this fight with Triple G. There was also issues because of the early bout, it being an early bout, and him going cross country to actually fight this fight. So you got to give the man credit. They gave him one objective, and that was to win. And then you get another shot at Canelo. Okay? So I think you got to cut him slack. It's not an old Triple G in there. It was rust, but it's to be expected. I actually think he's right on track.
I'm surprised. Not where I thought you was going to take this. So you think he's right on track, but I don't know. I saw a Golovkin that looked every bit of 40. And, even before he was stopping him, he was taking some big, gasping breaths. And I do agree with you, Rob, because there's going to be a ring rust. Not only are you taking a long layoff, but you're taking that long of a layoff at the age of 40 is never a good idea. He needs to stay active. So hopefully, actually, I think a smart plan for Golovkin would be to even take another fight before he takes.
Now again, that's more of the malarkey that I was expecting to hear from people. He's chasing the Canelo bout. He is later in his career. That's all he's motivated for. There's also lacking motivation for several of these fights for Triple G because he went from Canelo backwards. He went backwards in these bouts. He hasn't fought a meaningful fighter or a meaningful name since Canelo. So there also could be a lack of motivation there. He wants the Canelo bout. He's definitely, in my opinion, on the right track for it. He did what they asked him to do. Give the man his bout.
I'm not saying he's not earning it or whatever. I'm all for the fight going through. I just don't think it's the fight that it once was. This is not going to be the fight 1 and 2. I think in each fight, Canelo has improved against Golovkin. I think this one will actually be maybe the only one in my eyes that he wins legitimately. Again, that's just in my eyes. I saw Golovkin win in that first fight, and maybe a draw the second, but it was a close fight too. A lot of people see it that way, and now we're going to see a completely different version because even if it is ring rust, you have to admit, Rob, that version that beat Murata is not going to stop and come anywhere close to stopping Canelo Alvarez. In fact, I think you would agree even, Rob, that he's going to get stopped himself if he looks like that against Canelo.
The power is still there. The power is obviously still there. That's all you need against Canelo.
Unfortunately not. I wish I could agree with that. We don't know that anymore because he's already fought Golovkin twice, and Golovkin's put some gloves on him. He's put some leather on him. I mean, honestly, when's the last time Canelo was rocked? I mean, we're talking Miguel Cotto's brother, Jose Cotto. That's really the only time he's been rocked. I think since then you have to rate his chin as pretty granite. I hate to say it, but yeah, pretty granite chin for Canelo, buddy. I think to beat Canelo, Golovkin doesn't have it. In fact, it's worse, because if he's slowed down like this, he's going to feed right into what Canelo likes, the Angulo style, the come forward style. Can Golovkin box? Yes, but he's not going to be able to stay on his feet like he used to, and he's definitely not going to be able to dance around the ring like Canelo is. And then once he has Golovkin hurt, he's going to cut off the ring with ease, and Canelo's going to destroy him. I hate to say that, because again, I did see Golovkin winning, but James, Sakura, you guys pretty quiet.
Yeah, I just read that this fight is a done deal for mid-September. So my question is, what weight would they fight at? Because I can't see Triple G fighting at 168. I can't see Canelo coming down to 168. He's moving up to 175. He was talking about, the fight with I believe a Nigerian who was at
cruiserweight.
Was a cruiserweight. I mean, it's impossible to know with Canelo, but I mean, I really don't see Triple G moving up in weight. I think that the 160 pounds he was carrying this last weekend was sufficient. Little flat-footed, especially in the first 4 rounds, because those were split 2-2.
And he just looked heavy. Like everything was heavy on him.
It's funny because he's in great shape. I mean, the guy's cut, he's chiseled, he's everything, but his feet were a little heavy. So I don't see him moving up, and I just don't see how this fight's going to work. In fact, I kind of resigned myself to thinking that this fight was just, the train had left the station. When I saw Triple G beat Murata, I'm like, there's no way, but apparently it's done. So there's a lot of questions to answer as far as weight goes. And as far as Triple G goes, 40 years is a long, long time for a professional boxer who's been in the game as long as he has. I'm thinking other 160s for him. And I was thinking, well, we'll get into that conversation. But as far as who's next, but definitely not Canelo. I don't care to see him fight Canelo. I don't think it's a good move for Triple G at this point in his career.
I agree.
Well, in my opinion, well, first we'll get into his performance. As Rob was alluding to, that's the issue, is that we don't know how much of it is ring rust and how much of it is aging. And we're never going to know that, because guess what? Canelo waited him out until he's now not considered as much of a threat as he would have been 3 years ago. If that fight had took place, the third trilogy fight had taken place directly after the second fight, then we would have a different discussion right now. I don't know how much of it is ring rust. I will consider that some of it's ring rust, the same way that I considered some of it being ring rust for Pacquiao against Ugas. But there is the other element that, yeah, they are aging fighters. The good thing for Canelo is that, a part of his career, he had a problem getting tough fights, and therefore he was able to have a lot of fighters that were not up to his level. So he didn't receive as much punishment in a big portion of his career due to that. What the problem is now, am I looking forward to a Canelo fight? And yes, it is a done deal, because the zone had to negotiate, or Matchroom or DAZN. You can barely tell them apart now, right? But as two separate companies, but they had to negotiate Triple G's deal and with his fight with Bivol, because it was a 2-fight deal. So Canelo and Triple G had already come to terms on what they were willing to accept. But Triple G did, he made sure he got what he deserved, thankfully. And I do think this is a situation where after this particular fight, I think that it is time for Triple D to lay low. Because I can't see him in there with a Charlo or, you know, one of these vicious younger dudes that's gonna be ready to have his name as as a win on their record. And you know, the thing of it is 168 does seem like a stretch, because I'm also agreeing with James that he was very flat-footed. I know you're trying to be nice, James, but yeah, it was evident. It was quite evident that he was like, boom, boom, step by step, like being really, you know,
yeah. The one thing that really attracted my attention was those body shots. He was really feeling those.
Yeah, that was vicious body punches, and it did help him get his opponent out of there, Murata. But my thing is just, it's a diminished fight now. What we were trying to hype it up, you know, or how are they going to try to hype up a trilogy with someone who's aged and didn't look that good? You know, I mean, he looked sufficient for B-side fighters, but he didn't look like, damn, this is going to be a war between him and Canelo. How do you, I don't know how you hype that particular fight at this point, because so much time has, you know, gone by. And even when Canelo does win a fight against Triple G, really there is no benefit for him at this point, because everybody's going to say, yeah, but it's because Triple G is now over 40 and he waited all this extra time out to age him. Like, it's not going to be a fight win that's going to give him accolades. So I don't know. If I was Canelo and it meant that I had to drop back down and wait so much lower to even get to this Triple G fight, you know, I might be thinking about doing something else. At the same time, now he's signed that dotted line and the contract is finalized. So, you know, he can get his own way, of course, if he really wanted to, and not even fight Triple G. But at the same time, this is what they've spent so much money with Triple G for. They as in DAZN. I mean, they gave him like an exclusive contract to be with them. And Triple G just signed that dotted line years ago because he wanted to get this Canelo trilogy fight. So, I mean, somebody, if it's already a done deal, I want to see too how they managed to do this catch weight. And we all know who catch weights usually favor when it comes to Canelo.
Mm-hmm.
It will not favor Triple G.
It's not going to be 155.
Yeah, so thankfully it won't be 155, but it might be 163.
But that was that. I brought that up because that's the old Canelo weight.
Yeah, that's the catch weight he used to love. Right.
Yeah. So here's the thing, because I feel like I know you guys now, because I knew Shakura, you would bring that up in regards to the fact that, well, actually, I felt like Shakura and James would bring that up in regards to the fact of why is this fight even happening. So if we revisit that, it's very simple why it's happening. Canelo wants to fight 2, maybe 3 times this year. There were two fight deals placed in front of him. One of those on the PBC side, he's not fighting Benavidez. He's scared. That's not going to happen. So that double fight is now off the table. The other fight on the table, Bivol and Triple G. And that is why this fight is happening. Now, what I think could happen for Canelo is if he does prove to beat Bivol and Triple G solidly, I do see a possibility of a third fight happening for him at the end of the year. And that being a 1-fight deal with PBC, mainly Charlo. So that was the only fight that Canelo was interested over at PBC. So that's why this fight is happening. With that being said, though, the reason why Triple G stands a chance in this fight is because, let's face it, in both fights with Canelo, he was too timid and afraid to lose. That's why he lost those fights or didn't win it. That's why he did not win those fights. I felt he was too.
Triple G?
Triple G. He was too timid.
Timid?
He was too timid and afraid to trade because he didn't want to lose.
No.
So
I saw him win the first fight.
I saw him win the first fight too. I think Rob's saying like he could have tried a little harder to maybe get him out of there. But
no, you got to go back to the first fight. Canelo said Canelo himself wasn't pushing the aggression or the button because he didn't want to get into a sticky situation with Triple G, which is why the second fight he did that and won that bout because he pushed the aggression. Now, with that being said, he still felt like he won the first fight. It was very close, and they got a draw. But they both were timid in the first bout.
Right now. I mean, you trying to say Triple G is timid? Triple G has never been timid. He was right there in the pocket.
Go back to the damn fight.
No, he was right there in the pocket with Canelo most of the fight. The reason why
Canelo wasn't throwing any either.
You are full of shit right now, okay? This is what's going on with you. Because Canelo was in the pocket most of the fight with Triple G. He wasn't in the pocket by himself. Now, the second fight, you're right that Canelo was more aggressive than the first fight. That is very true. But he also had learned a few more tricks as well and knew how to set up, some counter punches against Triple G. And the aggression as well, it all played in the effect that he looked busier than Triple G when in fact the stats showed that he wasn't any busier than Triple G. So what you need to do is go back and you need to read the script.
No, the fans said
no, you don't need to tell me to go back. No, you don't need to tell me
they both
or
were very
James
timid
to go back and watch the fight. We watched the fight. You watched, like, maybe there was another fight on that night and you was trying to watch two fights. I don't know.
Shakur, why was it a draw? Why was it a draw?
You know why it's a draw.
Why was it a draw?
Triple G. My point is it's not because Triple G.
It was a draw because nobody wanted to win the fight.
But it wasn't, whether it was a draw or whether it was a win, whatever it wasn't because Triple G was timid. That's my point.
They both were timid.
But just go back. You go back. Go back.
Nobody wanted to win that damn first fight. Canelo wanted to win the second one and proved it. And that's why he won the fight.
And they was brawling. I don't know what you watched.
You go back and look at
Adelaide first cards. Because nobody got dropped.
True. Adelaide first card.
That's because both of them got chins of gods. That's why nobody fell.
Nobody has a chin of
power.
Look, okay. You know Triple G won the first fight. Why? Because the officials actually had it a draw, right?
No, Lucas,
because
he did
listen, the A side, especially the A side like Canelo, is gonna get those extra rounds, at least the two, right?
Who made the adjustments? Who made the adjustments after the first fight?
I'm not saying that. You're right in that fight.
Who made the adjustment?
However,
and
I
Triple
think
G
Canelo
was
still
exactly
only earned
the same.
himself a draw. In this fight, however, if it does and when it happens, I think it's gonna mop the floor with poor Triple G. It's too late, too old, too long ago. That's a different man.
So is Triple G.
Triple G is a different fighter, as in going down while Canelo is improving with each fight. So that makes it very difficult for Triple G to come out with a win when it's already in the previous two fights been stacked against him as far as the odds and the politics and the judging, all of that. So I see this as, let me say it again. When Canelo beats a Triple G for this third fight, we're going to all be asking ourselves, well, do we really deserve accolades for waiting this man out 3 or 4 years and knowing that he's on the backside of his, career? No. And you know how I am with Canelo anyway, because I'm like, fight these young, hungry lions. So I'm all for the Bivol fight, but this stuff with Triple G, they trying to recreate magic that they missed an opportunity to really seize on. That's all it is.
This third fight is way past its expiration date.
So when Triple G
really
wins, y'all can kiss my ass.
Oh, now you're for Triple G. You can't make up your damn mind. You just said You just said that Triple G in the second fight was so much more improved. I mean, that Canelo in the second fight was so much more improved, and
this is a different fight.
He was not going to be wasn't aggressive enough.
You don't
so
think
now,
you don't think Golovkin is motivated to beat him even more than anybody in his career?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of opponents are motivated and want a W and want championships. It doesn't mean that it happens for everyone. They're not. It's not just hunger that's going to win you a fight.
There's better fights. There's better fights for Triple G than Canelo. I think the Canelo thing is. I'm surprised that it's signed, but I think that's a non-starter. I was thinking I was thinking Jaime Munguia is next for Golovkin. Maybe Erislandy Lara.
Oh, good fight.
Now y'all are contradicting yourself. This man is a 40-year-old fighter. Why the hell would he take a step back and fight some young fighters?
Because he's 40 years old.
Use him? No.
Because he's 40.
Yeah, because he's 40 years old. And if he happens to win because they have less experience, he could win based on the experience in some of those matchups and still look good, like he's fighting the best in his division. Whereas if he fights Canelo, it's not going to look like that. It's going to look like he's trying to recreate and get a W that he was not given in earlier fights. That is not in his best interest.
Exactly what she's saying, too, because he did not have a chance to build that legacy. Nobody wanted to fight this man. Golovkin was so avoided for so long that now... what does he have other than a Canelo draw on his resume to brag about? And yes, it's something to brag about. I mean, it's Canelo after all, so, you know. But that's it, right? Like, Cotto avoided that whole situation. Cotto didn't want nothing. That was his other Hall of Fame fight. He needs other names. He needs something else. He wants to build a legacy because I think Golovkin is a lot better than what his resume reflects. And I think he knows that. And I think it's hurting his ego a little bit, and it should.
Like I said, you'll see he's a different fighter, and you'll see it in that trilogy fight. But like my man CJ Hooker said, end of the day, Triple G held up his end of the bargain. It's now time for Canelo to do his part.
All right. Let's switch topics here. Let's talk Ryan Garcia's return. I'm gonna come to you first, and James. One, just tell me how you thought of his performance went, and two, why did it go this way? Why did it end the way it did?
I think it was a good, smart opponent. It was a good choice. His opponent really didn't bring much. Didn't really want to engage. Made it real difficult for Garcia to get that highlight reel knockout that he really needed for his ego. Overall, he looked pretty good, though. I mean, he's in good shape. The question at 139, though, if he's a 135-pound fighter, should be at 135. I just didn't understand that. But if he couldn't make 135, there's a lot of work to do in the gym.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, overall, his speed is there. It's the same Ryan Garcia that we've seen. There's really no new twist there. There's really nothing there. He's got a short time in with Goosen, which is a good move, I think. And Goosen's dedicated, so this should work out perfectly well for them. But no new twist there for Garcia. Nothing new. I'm still throwing or letting that left hook fly. Kind of weak on the jab. Footwork was pretty decent. But if Tego would have engaged a little bit, perhaps we would have seen a better performance from Garcia. Tego was just there to, make it through to the end and not really get hurt. He didn't really engage like he should have. He wasn't going for the win. Let me put it that way. So overall, I think Garcia looked pretty good, though, for a comebacker. It's a good choice. It's a good choice of opponent.
Well, for me, I agree with Mara, which doesn't happen that much. When he said, basically you're trying to lament yourself with a new trainer. So, you never look good in that first fight the way that you should. But I did like the fact that Goosen had taught him how to be more aggressive and force the movement in the ring. But where the hell was the jab? I mean, that was like a big, huge mistake to teach someone to go forward without incorporating moving with the jab. So I don't know. The jury's still out with that situation. Now we know he does still have some great, amazing power and quick hands. But if you're on the move and you're forcing pressure, but you haven't learned how to actually set up some of those, great punches that he could have using his length, to his advantage, then there's an issue. Like I said, it's kind of hard to gauge. Basically, the main thing that I was happy with is that the ring rust was gone. He seemed like he was, of stable and of sound mental capacity and understood the moment and, basically has his priorities in order now. So I was just happy to see those baby steps in the right direction. It was disappointing to hear that it was a catch weight because I really wasn't able to read up beforehand and learn that it was a catch weight. I was thinking that they were still made weight at 135. So when I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, they look heavy. And then to know that it was because it was a catch weight, I'm like, oh my God, here we go again, where we have another lightweight that can't make lightweight status anymore, which is what Tio did allude to when they had an interview with him in previous weeks. He was like, look, I moved up, but guess what? These same guys gonna have to move up too. Like, they can't stay at that. And I've been saying that the whole time. Like, look, I mean, I don't know how long any of these guys, except for Lomachenko, will be able to hang at a 135 weight class. So we're starting to see the bigger trend, which is that they're having to move up. For me, if it means you're not draining yourself and we get the best of that athlete, like the best of Tio and the best of Ryan Garcia, then I do feel like by all means move up to the next division, because I'm tired of seeing these guys drain themselves and have such issues. Remember, Virgil Ortiz just had to cancel his fight because of some of the techniques he was using to make weight. So, this is something that I don't want to see it. And plus, it's very highly dangerous for these guys to be losing this brain fluid days before they have to fight, and that cushion of fluid is needed for the brain to be protected. So I'm all for moving up if you need to. Ryan, we got to look at the fact that he's back. It's a positive step in the right direction, and he's with a trainer that is going to put him first, and that to me is more important than the actual even performance, because you got to have a trainer that's there for you and is there for you 100%, and that's what he has.
Yeah, I agree with James. I think Tago was basically there just to survive. Reminded me a lot of Joshua Clottey when he fought Pacquiao. Just anytime anything was thrown, he just went into a shell and didn't come out of it. But very well said, Sakura, as well. CJ Hooker says Ryan Garcia's performance was okay, but his opponent was so-so. Would love to see him and Jojo Diaz go at it for his next fight. So would we. Let's go. Continued, Garcia is 5'11", and he can move all the way up to 147 with his frame. Guys, so that would be the next question before we switch topics here. Is Garcia, was he just not able to because of the layoff, or is this something maybe he plans on staying at 135?
I wonder about that. Yeah.
So I think it had a lot to do with the layoff, honestly. I just think it had a lot to do with that. There are many changes that we see and that looks like Garcia is going through. For one, he's got the tattoos now, no longer the clean-cut boy that we used to see. He's a little bit heavier and all of that. But I think it's just a matter of they wanted to ease him back into the weight and everything with all the layoffs and the issues that he had in the past. My take, honestly, on the fight, though, on the performance itself, I think it's absolutely what he needed. I like seeing the changes and stuff that were made because I felt like we saw a more relaxed Garcia in the ring. He wasn't looking
relaxed. Yeah, he was.
He wasn't looking too and being too anxious on getting the knockout. He was relaxed and he was very patient. With that being said, there are several fixes that he needs to make in the fight. One of them, Shakur, you touched on the lack of the jab that was missing. But the main thing was he couldn't cut off the ring. Could not cut off the ring to save his life. And he's gonna fight these guys, especially at this weight right here. He's gonna fight these guys that are going to move and move around the ring. So you got to be able to cut off the ring. Those are two takeaways that I had in the fight.
And he's still pulling away with his chin up. He's pulling straight back. He's going to get caught one of these times pretty bad. I think it's just some of the opposition he's faced hasn't been able to capitalize on it because of his height.
And that's a part of it too. But to answer your question, though, I feel like he's fine at 135. They did the catch weight up to, I believe, 139. I don't see him having issues as long as him and Goosen do the right thing in camp.
Okay, that was my question. I mean, we took the scenic route to get there, but we're here.
Because you never let me speak on my thoughts of the performance. That's why, Lucas.
You always speak. You went first last time.
I don't always come to you. Sometimes, people just chime in. You know how this is. It's been, 8 years now? You know what you're doing.
Yeah, you're not going to let me not speak.
I don't know what you're talking about, though. I mean, I feel like we're not knowing what he's going to be like with Goosen. I mean, it's just too early. Yeah, he haven't had time to really deb into a lot, as far as just techniques. When he was basically trying to strategize just for his opponent, he had that particular night.
But he's not.
That's all he had time for.
I agree, but he's not completely unfamiliar with Goosen. Goosen did train him as an amateur.
That is true.
Amateur is, listen, amateur, I love amateurs. This is the great way for the main boxers to get started, but it ain't no damn professionals, okay? It's a different ball game. You just look at Lomachenko with all that amateur background, and when he got to Salido, he got that homegrown ass training on what it means to be a professional. So he got that, hello, welcome to the big boys. So it's totally different how you would train someone for amateurs, because you just need to, teach them how to make sure they get the most punches in to get the win. It's totally different when, you need to be professional and you got slick boxers and people trying to do things on the other side of the referees' viewpoints and all that type of stuff going on.
I'm still wondering.
Getting hurt when they really are hurt. That was another thing I noticed too. Ryan didn't really know when he had his opponent hurt in that fight. I'm like, damn, he don't even realize he hurt him with that body punch. So there was some of that going on too, where he has to be more aware of what his opponent has shelled for, or when they pull that elbow down, because, it really hurt. Because I think if he'd went to the body a little more, it would have paid off really, he would have got him out of there. And so I just feel like there's a lot to work on.
Yeah, I don't know why, but his mental state either. I mean, I got the vibe he did not want to be there. He was doing this fight because he had to, because he had obligations. It did not seem like he even really wanted to return.
Damn.
No, what make you say that? You got to back that up.
I really don't have.
It just seemed like he was relaxed in there, and he's getting more
very patient.
Yeah, I didn't feel like he didn't want to fight.
Maybe it's the change in the attitude from the boy to the man type persona he's trying to pursue now. But he wasn't the yay, I'm here. He didn't seem super happy. He seemed like he was all business. Maybe and
that's what he should be like. He should be more business. Maybe. But I like at the end. you saw in his interview at the end where he's like, I'm not gonna be lying to y'all. It is difficult to make these fights, and I'm not gonna sit up here and BS you and I'm calling out this one and that one, and then the fights don't happen. So like, I mean, he has learned a few good lessons about Tweety Bird versus, boxing reality.
Bond says Garcia ain't fought no one. Who is his best fight? Tank would knock out Ryan. Virgil Ortiz and Enos Boots' future of 147. Kind of hard to disagree there. Ryan don't belong in the mix. And then Bond, let Rob Sensei talk. Was that
well, he has all the attributes. He has all the attributes to be an amazing boxer. It's just how focused is he going to be able to be, and who's going to be behind him to support him. Because I do feel like he definitely is the type of boxer that needs to know he has like a trainer that's 100% with him and that backs him up all the time. The other thing I was going to say too is Gervonta Tank Davis is a number one reason why 135 would be somewhere that he should stay for a minute, because that's a fight that even PBC, Mayweather Promotions, and Tank have all said that they are interested in. They say he has the numbers, he has everything to back up what would be an amazing fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, we know he's been up to 140, so it is a possibility that, Gervonta could do 140 with him. So they could do a catchweight in between as well. But then Gervonta has these titles that he does have to fight for unless he wants to release them.
That would be the fight. That would be it at 135. But I think that Ryan Garcia really needs a few more fights before he even thinks about fighting Gervonta. He's got to be buttoned down, and I think he's well on his way though. He's got a good coach. He's got a good program. He's there. He just needs a little bit more time to polish up some ends that there's some rough edges that he needs to work on.
Yeah, definitely fight a couple more fights and step ups in competition each time too. But yeah, definitely.
Oh, he definitely needs rounds.
All right, let's go ahead and switch topics to the other.
Wait a minute, Lucas. I can't believe Rob ain't got nothing to say about Gervonta Tank Davis fighting a Ryan Garcia. Like, what was up with that? It was like a great pause.
Hey, it's quiet, Al.
Because I think that fight can be made at 135, 140, even up to 147. It doesn't have to be right now. I mean, let's face it, Ryan Garcia needs to get his clout back. He needs to get that name back. This is the first time he's even been 12 rounds. It's the first time we've even seen Ryan Garcia go a full 12-round fight. The kid needs more experience before he steps up in there, because it will be a spectacle as long as Ryan Garcia keeps winning.
Okay.
Let's talk Fundora, Lubin. Sakura, man, that was a rough fight.
You know what? And out of all the fights that Showtime came out with, that they were getting ready to have, that particular fight stuck out to me. I was like, now see, this right here is gonna be a war. Like, I knew it was gonna be a special type of fight. We saw both of them hit the canvas or take a knee, so he said afterwards. But we saw both of them on the canvas. I felt like, guys, there was a little stalling there when it came to that knee that Fundora took. It was like the whole entire count. And then it was, let's put your guard back in, Like, I felt like, you don't interrupt that kind of action when somebody has their guy really hurt. But, it happened. And then Lubin was in for a great surprise in what, Fundora was able to fight through. He came back and, he just made it very miserable for Lubin. My issue with Lubin right now is, why did he fight that type of fight? It wasn't necessary. I honestly was like, I went with Lubin. Mainly, I went with Hammer because I was like, he is going to school him on boxing. Like, I know he knows the sweet science. He's not just a, heavy hitter. He knows the sweet science. And I just can't for the life of me understand why he would go out there and want to brawl with Fundora. It just didn't make sense to me. Yeah, you want to KO, you want to knock somebody out. That's great. He's that type of boxer that likes to do that. But pick your battles. Know when it's time for you to stick and move, and when you can make someone vulnerable enough to get knocked out. Like, you can't just go in there and there's no setup for it or anything, and you're trying to swing at this guy, and he's way bigger than you. I do hope that we are able to see Erickson come back and fully healthy again, because that was one of them type of brawls that both of them is going to remember, because it does take some life off your career. Like, that's what kind of fight that was. But what an amazing competitive fight, and I enjoyed it immensely. I knew it was going to be badass. I knew it.
That's a fight that takes life off your life.
Yes.
Not just
life off your life.
Life off your life.
Yes.
Bong commented again, said, "Ain't nobody beating Fundora. Shaquille O'Neal Fundora always has most entertaining fights. LeBron Jones, I don't know if that was supposed to be James, bet $2 million on Fundora winning." Is that real?
LeBron.
Is that real?
Yeah.
That's real? LeBron bet $2 million on Fundora?
Wow.
Man.
That's impressive, but he has a lot of advantages at 154. And you can't deny those advantages, but what's going to be real interesting to me is when he goes up in weight and he becomes heavier, and goes into his grown man body, and we really get to see like him at a bigger weight, a heavier weight class. So that's what's interesting to me. It's not as interesting to me for him to be at 154 with everyone being so much smaller than him, as much as it will be when he's at a weight class where he's going to be looking eye to eye at people, and they're going to be like, yeah, now how you going to do it against somebody tall as you and as strong as you and blah, blah, has the longest reach as you. So,
funny thing is that he claims he can make 147.
I believe
that's what he claims. That's what he claims.
I guarantee you he can. I know he can.
That came out of his mouth. But you guys, someone mentioned something about Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, when you look at him, wearing his boxing trunks, that reminds me more of Manute Bol than anybody else. You guys remember Manute Bol?
Yeah.
He was like 11 feet tall.
Yeah.
It's like this wide.
Right. Yeah, not Shaquille. Shaquille had the muscles, the brawn with it, It
was a fun fight, but when Lubin went down, he was jumping up and down in the ring, and it just looked kind of funky, to see someone with that physique. But man, his uppercuts are like jabs.
Mm-hmm.
He just throws them. He just lets them go. There's just some abandon there. And I love to watch him fight. This is going to be fun to watch. Progress through the weight divisions. He'll be at 160 at some point, and giving people hell. But he's just fun to watch, and he's a good dude. He speaks well. He's funny, and I don't know, man. I thought that was like so far fight of the year, obviously, contender, and then for the rest of the year, it'll be interesting to see what if anything happens with his career. But I can't wait to see him move up. Good dude.
Where does Lubin go from here, though? Like,
and
you gotta give
to the hospital.
You gotta give Lubin.
Yeah.
You gotta give Lubin a lot of credit for this fight in the way that he fought. Shakur felt that he fought the wrong fight, but he was knocked down in the second round. So he was trying his best after that knockdown to come back, improve, and to be honest, guys, he was ahead on 2 scorecards, and one had it a draw at the time of the stoppage, which it shows you how heavy hands Fundora has in the ring. Because had he not disarranged Lubin's face,
yeah,
we would have been in for a real treat of a fight that night. And
Yeah.
that's really why the fight had stopped, because the accumulation of punches, and really because of the disfigured face that Lubin had. He had a broken jaw, broken nose. He had something going on right here on his
Hematoma
forehead.
right there. Yeah.
Man.
CJ says Fundora ain't no joke. This kid is heavy-handed and he trains with his little sister to prepare for Lubin. What does that say about how badass the family is? You may have been looking at the next undisputed junior middleweight champion as he gets the winner of Charlo and Castaño.
I had Lubin up.
Now wait a minute, CJ. I don't know. Charlo is a different animal.
Wait a minute, James. You said you had Lubin. You had what you
Lubin up at one point. Yeah,
and so did Kevin, 2 scorecards.
I think what Kevin Cunningham wanted him to do was just box a little bit more and move.
Yeah,
more of a stick and move scenario, and he was right in front of him the entire time. But I honestly don't know much about Lubin, but I don't really see him as a really slick fighter. I think he's more like straight up, come in and just land power shots.
No, he actually does know the sweet sound. He knows it. Trust me. And he's also sparred with many people, including Berlanga, and showed him up a couple of things too. It's just that that's not the fight he wanted, because his trainer was even telling him this is what you need to do, and he wasn't doing it. He just wanted something else out of it. I mean, he wanted to be able to say, "I chopped that tree down." That's what he wanted to say.
It's easier said than done, but that tree's got limbs that are as long as your whole body, so it makes it a little bit hard to box him, so yes. I get it, but my hat's off to him. I think it was a great fight. If anything, I think they're going to win Fight of the Year, and I that's even foreseeing the other fights coming, so I don't know. It's going to take quite a bit to beat that fight.
I've enjoyed every fight I've seen against young man from the Chicago area. Forget his name. He trains with George Hernandez. He had a foot. No, it's he's either Jamaican or 54, Jamaican or Dominican, and his name is Nate Gallimore. And Gallimore took it right at Fundora. In the first few rounds, tortured him, and I think he suffered torn Achilles heel or something like that, and just wasn't able to continue. But boy, did he lay some leather on Fundora. Fundora took it well and kept fighting inside, and I'm like,
yeah. And Gallimore is known for power. Like that, Gallimore is known to have the goods.
Oh yeah.
So I know that made it be like Fundora really does have a great chin.
Yeah, no, that's exactly my point. Fundora fought through it, and man, he took it well and dished it out and stopped him. He actually stopped Gallimore. But man, that was some early rounds were really, really intense. But there you have it, man. He's good all around. So, but we'll see if he stays at 154 or moves up to 160. It's going to be interesting.
I definitely think it was a statement fight and a good measuring stick to place Fundora in a higher tier now than what we may have before.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Let's move on to this weekend's magic. Of course, we got Spence Ugas. Great fight. I'm happy that Ugas is getting the fight, but that's mainly because he beat Pacquiao to get his belts to now, unification title fight. Otherwise, I'm not so sure we see Spence Ugas. But regardless, it's in front of us. What do you guys think about the undercard first? I mean, we got Cruz Gamboa.
That's loaded.
I mean, we do have some good fights on here. You got Budayev versus Stennis.
Stanionis. Yeah. And that's let me interrupt you. That's kind of interesting. And I'm a big fan of the WBA. Fuck, they have a WBA world title, okay, in Budayev and Stanionis, and guess what? WBA world title again in the main event.
Yeah.
Except one
WBA
super. One's super and one's like regular or whatever.
And
it's
what
like,
happened to them getting rid of one of those titles?
Yeah, get that shit.
Yeah, and what happened to them getting rid of one of those particular titles? They were supposed to be eliminating one of those titles when it came to Ugas. Yeah. Remember? They were like, oh, well, we got to get rid of this. So you're going to have to fight these three guys, and whoever, they had it where whoever came out on top was going to be the official title holder. What happened to that?
Now they get some more sanctioning fees. All a fucking game.
A real game, for real.
And, but then you got,
correct me if I'm wrong, but there's actually two separate telecasts for this, right? The Stenios fight is regular cable, and then we morph into the pay-per-view where we have the Ugas Spence fight, right?
Right. That's the way that they set up those things usually. Right. Is like, when it's a pay-per-view, you get to see some of it for free or with subscription, and then the main bout you get pay-per-view for, like the last 3 bouts or 4.
What is the pay-per-view on the Spence Ugas fight? Like $75?
I'm sure it's 80.
74. $74.99.
80.
Ooh, what a deal! What a deal!
Right. How'd we get here? I don't know. What happened from the $60? Why is it going up?
Inflation.
You can thank Floyd Mayweather. You can thank Floyd Mayweather and
everybody say inflation this and inflation that.
You can thank Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor for that. They set the new tone for the pay-per-view numbers.
Man,
but they charge $99.
Right. I missed what happened to those pay-per-views that were like $30, but it would be action-packed. We don't get none of those.
One.
I think they did have a couple of those.
We saw one at the beginning of the year that was an absolute stinker pot in all those heavyweights.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what I was talking about. I was actually meaning with good fights.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and we'll still be saying, oh, that should be a free fight. That should just be televised, because I pay a subscription already for ESPN Plus and DAZN and Showtime. So I want my shit free.
I mean, yeah, I do. I want it free. Not really free because I'm paying.
Well, it's not free because there's subscriptions with them, but. And what happened to pay-per-view was dead, huh?
It's
like
Showtime.
Emily is getting laugh on that. Like they pretended that it pay-per-view was dead, but it's not.
Nah, I'm gonna give Showtime a pass, but DAZN with that damn Canelo Bivol ain't getting no pass from me. But that's a different story for a different day.
Wait a minute, Lucas. You're the one that was like, oh, yeah, I would love to see that fight. Yeah, Bivol is the only one that could possibly upset a Canelo. You don't think that that's worth a pay-per-view?
That's not even necessarily what I said. I said that's why I'm not okay with DAZN doing it, though. DAZN promised to end all pay-per-view. You can't say that base your whole company on ending pay-per-view and then do a pay-per-view yourself.
Like I said, Errol got the last laugh on that one because he told them, nah, pay-per-view ain't going nowhere. And they learned why, because it's like expensive for these bigger fights.
Yeah, but regardless, I'm happy we got here. I mean, Ugas Spence is going to be a good fight. I think Ugas' style and how he fights can cause a lot of issues for Spence. But guys, I'm kind of eager to hear kind of what your preview and predictions are going to be for this one. I think we might be split, but I would not be surprised if all of you pick Spence as well. Before we do that, though, I do want to talk Cruz Gamboa. Personally, I think Cruz is going to get rid of him early. I mean, this is a Gamboa who has been steadily declining. I don't really see it. He's not able to move like he used to, not able to use his excellent Cuban style like he would like to. So I do see Isaac Cruz wearing him down and getting him out of there mid-fight.
That one is going to steal the show, I think. That fight is really the one that I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think Cruz does stop him, but I think it's going to be late in the fight.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, I don't know. it could be either one of what you said. I just feel like the fact that Gamboa can't move a lot anymore means that he's going to be right there for the action, and so is Cruz, because that's right. Cruz's game. That makes it more of an exciting fight. But the last thing to leave people is the power. So Gamboa does still have a chance to get an upset with Cruz, because he is right there to be hit. It just depends on how good of a chin Cruz has. So I'm not going to just write Gamboa off in this particular fight because he's aged. It has to do more with the number of times you are available to get hit with a very good power punch. And Cruz is right there for it.
Great point, Shakira. Lucas, he might have to get off the canvas. Might have to get off the canvas and win this fight.
He might. James, I know you're not super high on Cruz, but kind of interested on your take there.
It'll be interesting to watch. Cruz is a freaking animal in the ring, and Gamboa, he's kind of a defensive fighter. It could be interesting, and you guys are looking forward to this fight, but what I'm really looking forward to is Radzav Butaev versus Aimantas Stanionis at 147.
Yeah.
That should be a fucking brawl. Well, I shouldn't say a brawl, but a really, really good chess match. These guys are both really, really solid. If you don't know Radzav Butaev, he last beat anybody? Jamal James. I don't know if you guys remember that. I believe that may have been he may have been at the Armory. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I could look it up. But, excellent fight. You guys know I like Jamal James. So at 147, this is a killer bout. It's a really, really good matchup. Stanionis, we last saw against Luis Collazo in his last fight. I think that ended with an injury of some sort, like a gash.
Yeah.
From a headbutt. I look forward to this one. Also, Jose Valenzuela against Francisco Bandito Vargas. That could be a really, really good matchup. Mm-hmm. And Brandon Lee's in there against Zach Ochoa. Looks good. So, and also Cody Crowley's in there. He's a pretty tough fighter against Josecito Lopez.
Josecito Lopez.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one too. That's going to be good.
Lopez
that is our.
Yeah, well, shout out to Showtime and PVC for giving us an undercard with this pay-per-view that is, more interesting than they've been in the last, the COVID years. This here is actual, what we like to see, like a stat card. So they really bringing it when it comes to the whole lineup. It's not just you're paying for Spence and Ugas.
I agree with you there.
Oh, this looks good.
Now let's get to the main event, Lucas.
Spence Ugas, guys. Rob, you want it? Go for it, buddy.
Look, y'all. Look. At this point, I am begging Ugas. I'm begging him. Please prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong in this fight, Ugas. I'm begging him to prove me wrong, y'all. But I think he's just going to be completely overmatched. I see Spence having no issues whatsoever walking him down, breaking his spirit, taking it all from him, and winning this fight with a beautiful display of boxing. I see a dominant. Maybe he lose 1 to 2 rounds in this fight, but I think Spence is going to completely dog walk him. And when he unanimous decision, I am begging Ugas, please prove me wrong. Now, in order to do that, he's going to have to fight his ass off.
You say prove you wrong, but
speechless.
Man,
hey, everybody was just like, what?
I don't think anybody can dog walk Ugas. I'm being serious. If he does dog walk Ugas, I think that's a big statement, and I think that's basically saying, like, Crawford, you don't want no piece of this, because anybody who can just dog walk Ugas has to be not only, a great fighter, they have to be an elite fighter. Because Pacquiao, even though I still swear Ugas was just really bad stylistically for Pacquiao, to be able to do what he did to Pacquiao, even at an old age, you have to be up there. A lot of people saw Ugas also beat Porter pretty handily. And Spence went life and death with Porter. That's still a rematch I would like to see, or at least was. I don't know if I would do so now. But I think this is going to be a really closely contested fight, and I don't want to do the cheap way out, and I usually don't, but I think this one's going to be a draw, guys.
Wow.
Let me just address something right quick. I believe this is at me, Sherman Henson, when you said he's wrong as usual. Spence has his work cut out for him.
Sherman's speak on that. I assume that was at Rob, but yeah, let's get to the bottom of that one.
Trainer Sherman is an old school DC. He's from DC, boxing, and he trained some elite boxers. Listen, Juan Laporte. I forgot the name of the other one. He's gonna kill me for that. But listen, Sherman, you are half white. Sometimes Rob gets so confused and he contradicts himself so much that he's always right. Because at some point in his conversation, he's right about something. So he's going to take the glory regardless. My thing with this particular fight, I feel, is that, guys, there is no way that Spence is going to allow a mega fight with Bud Crawford to go out the window, especially not after he missed his opportunity to have Pacquiao on his record to have a matchup with. There is no way that he is going to allow that possibility of this mega fight with Bud Crawford to diminish. With that being said, I don't think Ugas is going to go down without a fight. I don't feel that Spence has actually fought a Cuban pedigree fighter before. So that's what makes this matchup so intriguing, is how does he handle that long jab that turns into a power punch? And how does he deal with someone that counters well and that knows how to move around and have great ring generalship? This is something that we haven't really been able to see Spence matched up with before. And this is why it's going to be such an amazing fight to watch. Strategically, they both better have their shit together and they better know exactly plan A and B, because both of these fighters are very adaptable to different types of maneuvers from their opponents. So they have the flexibility to change midstream in a fight to a different strategy. And whoever does that the best, that is the person that I feel will come out on top. For me, I believe that all of the Olympic, all the times at the Olympics and the training at the Mayweather camp before he actually, started pursuing his own career path, I feel that all that is in Spence's favor, especially when it comes to defense. He is going to have to be on his defense. So if he decides to walk down an Ugas, as Rob says, you better damn well believe there has to be some fire that's going to come back at Spence from Ugas. So he better have his defensive maneuvering on point for this particular fight. But I do see Spence moving forward and getting away with 3 title unifications in order to face a Bud Crawford for the 4th one.
A decision? You got
yeah.
time.
If it's by decision, it's definitely Spence. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. I feel like if it's by decision, it's going to go Spence's way. So if Ugas does try to, engage more, we're going to see just how good of a chin Ugas has, because he's going to give him something. So I feel like it's going to be by decision, but at the same time, I could definitely see it being a KO as well, or a TKO at least. Maybe like in the 7th or 8th. No, it would have to be like in the championship rounds that he would get caught or be tired or something like that. So maybe like a 11th round TKO if that happens. But I definitely see it as a Spence win.
See, I don't even see it really. Well, I see it as a Spence win possibly, but only if they screw Ugas. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be a close fight, but for Ugas to win, I mean, like you said, I mean the deck's going to be stacked against him. So
it really is, because I think the outcome of this fight points to a fight with Terrence Crawford, and if obviously the outcome is for Ugas, well, that may not get done. But I will say that this is the best opponent, I think, looking at Errol Spence's record. This is his best opponent to date.
Oh, by far.
This is the biggest challenge. Comes at a good time because he's at the peak of his career. I hope that this is a really, really healthy Spence. So no BS comes out of this, and they're going to give each other hell. I think that Spence might have an advantage in the early rounds. I think late in the fight, Ugas really figures things out and makes it a really, really tough match. I think this will go down to the wire. I don't see either one of them stopping their opponent because they're just too smart. They're both very, very intelligent fighters and supremely conditioned. So I'm thinking Spence by a split.
So basically,
and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Basically, you see Ugas getting screwed. You got Ugas getting screwed.
Well,
it is in Dallas, Texas. Number one.
It is boxing.
I mean, and not only that, it's like it's in Dallas. It's in territory.
But it could happen anywhere. It could happen in Vegas, Los Angeles, New York.
True. It's just boxing. It's just
it's the fight that we've been pining for is Crawford Spence, and we've been pining for a long time.
And that's my problem with it. It's set up.
It's on the cusp.
Been notorious lately. The Texas's boxing commission has been notorious lately for judging some crazy stuff. I mean, they just did it on the Ryan Garcia undercard with the female bout. I forgot their names, but they screwed this 5-time division world champion.
Esparza against Fukuoka, or I forget, was it the Japanese lady?
Yes, she's a 5-time world champion. She brought it to her, and they gave her, like, they made it like 100-90. Like one judge had it like literally 109, and it was very close. Like I would have said it was a draw if not her winning. So it was messed up.
So that's the Esparza fight, and I didn't score it, but I saw her win by a wide margin.
Who?
Esparza.
I didn't. I saw that lady forcing the action and punching her and causing her to look really bad in that fight. She had a couple of more. She had more power than the Japanese lady, but she wasn't like kicking her ass. This
Japanese lady just couldn't let the punches go. There's something. I mean, she's 46 years old too.
Yeah, she was 46. I felt like 100-90. James, come on now. She didn't wipe the floor with that lady at all. Like to warrant that kind of score.
No. But she did. Esparza won the rounds. I mean, she didn't, mop the floor with her, but she won the rounds.
Well, going back to the point in hand with the Ugas fight, bringing it back to what Shakira was saying about judging could play a part in this fight. Ugas could come to win and take it to Spence. Let's face it, Spence has been on a layoff again. So we don't know what that's going to hold into the fight. But Shakira did touch on something about me that people have missed, and she's right. I do put a caveat in there, so if you missed that caveat, I said, please, Ugas, I'm begging you to prove me wrong, because if he wins the fight, then that's what I'm going to say next weekend. He proved me wrong. I begged him to do it, and he did it.
Oh, so that's the way that you're gonna justify your bias prediction.
If it has to come to that, yes.
You know, I also listen. If it is a tight fight, guess what? I have an issue with. Ugas is notorious for not closing the show. Like he's been in
pressing the action.
Where he will let like Sean Porter. He didn't try to finish it. Like he cruised through some rounds at the end, championship rounds that he shouldn't have. So I mean, in the Pacquiao fight, he did stand his ground. And we saw a little bit more of, you know, some action there towards the championship rounds, but it still wasn't like let me go out and really close this show. So and I think that has to do with the Cuban, you know, background and everything, where they just like really stay super focused on the boxing skills. But you got to be able to close it. If you give them if you give the judges one opportunity to say that you didn't take it to Spence, or that you didn't try to finish him off, they are going to use that as another reason why Spence deserves that W.
That's exactly true.
One thing about Ugas, he's got a victory over Abel Ramos, and that's a very, very capable welterweight there. That says a lot. That's a big victory. He's got a lot of good victories on his record.
Yeah, so some people think he won the Porter fight. I just didn't think
that was
he really beat him.
Split decision, right? I believe that was
split. Yeah.
Okay, so he's up there. He's definitely up there. He's to a very, very high degree, an exceptional fighter. This is going to be a killer match.
Yeah.
Well, if I see Spence cruising, you're going to get a "I told you so" text.
I mean, look, he's got some tricks up his sleeves. He's a good boxer, and he does like hydrate. He rehydrates very well. So if he comes in there as the bully, you know, Ugas better like make sure that he's like, you know, able to gain weight and be physical, just as physical as Spence can be.
I think this one's definitely going to be more of a chess match. This is not going to look anything like Pacquiao Ugas did at all. I think you're going to see a lot of timidness on both sides. But like James was saying, I think this is the most technically sound fighter that Spence has had to deal with. So, you know, we're looking to see how he's going to deal with the Cuban style. We're looking to see how he's going to be able to get inside Ugas' jab. Those are two things not easily done. And, you know, if he can do that early on, I think that's going to be the key to his success.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Spence's camp, my strategy is I want an inside fight. Who's seen Ugas do inside fighting? So that would be my first target. It's like once I get inside, it's we banging, you know. And I don't know if Ugas has been training for that.
Probably not. It's not his fight. He can bang. I saw him fight Omar Figueroa, and he did move to the inside and worked him pretty well. Mm-hmm. So he does have those skills. Excellent balance too. I mean, he's got a white stance when he fights on the inside.
Yeah. Really,
really good. Chin up a little bit.
Stance. Yeah.
Just chins up a little bit, I recall, but he's a sound fighter. This is going to be an ass whooping both ways, I think.
Well, if I were him, I'd much rather fight Ugas on the inside than to try to outpoint him with that jab and that length that he does have if you're on the outside.
Yeah, and I think if Spence does find a way to actually stop him, I think that is a big statement. I mean, Ugas has yet to be stopped, and he's already fought so much tough competition that I think he would have been stopped now if that was the case. So if he's able to find a way to stop Ugas, but I severely doubt it. Like I said, I definitely see a draw in a really close fight, or Ugas getting screwed. But regardless, I don't think we're going to see a stoppage either way.
I think Spence is going to he's going to want to make a statement I don't know if he can make a statement with Ugas, but I think he's going to try to make a statement and a loud message that, Bud, you're next. You sure you want this? Yeah.
Well, when Spence fought Mikey Garcia, he didn't stop him. He was just happy to handle it the way he did, handily. Won this fight running away, but never went to close it. So he kind of played it smart in that regard, and just cruised to a good victory. That's potentially what he can do here, but I see different type of competition here. This is a higher degree. Yeah. So it's going to be a tougher fight for Spence, without a doubt.
Yeah, we talking elite fighters. Yeah, this is elite. This is a good competitive matchup that boxing fans have like wanted for so long. After we have so many of these, lesser opponents in play, this is that type of elite level fights that we should all be getting excited for.
And it's funny, we say elite, but it sounds like we're all basically saying Spence is going to win. Me and James are kind of saying it's going to be by a screw job. Sakura, I mean, you even mentioned maybe an Ugas KO is possible for you. So, how close are we thinking this fight's going to be? I don't know. But
I mean, because I could be wrong. But my point is that I feel like my main decision is based on the fact it's more of a mental thing to me that Spence is going to be trying to make a statement and make sure he gets this W, because that's his ticket to this mega fight with Terrence Bud Crawford. I mean, I don't see him wanting to give up that path to, that's going to be a highlighted boxing matchup. You don't want to jeopardize that, especially not after he missed his opportunity to have that pack fight. I think it's just more of a mental thing here. Yeah. Who's going to want it more? Yeah,
that the Crawford fight definitely is looming over this fight. There is kind of a nasty cloud over it already. And the fact that, if something awkward happens, we're all just going to scream, oh, this isn't the fix. But regardless, winner pretty much looking at Bud, as James said earlier. So, Rob, do you have any rapid fire for tonight?
So just a couple of announcements to go over to look at, guys. When are these fighters going to learn to lay off the social media and the stupidity? Yes, we have a breaking news. We have another fighter who we actually mentioned tonight. Joseph Jojo Diaz has just been accused of attempted coercion and enticement of a minor in a civil lawsuit. Apparently, the lawsuit that's filed in court says that Joseph Diaz shared sexually graphic material to a minor that was at the age of 17 at the time via Snapchat. This apparently occurred in September 2020. They're trying to play it off as Joseph Diaz's father tried to say, oh, he was drunk one night and mistakenly sent it to this person, to this girl. And that's what happened. And it has since been deleted and this and that. But that's landed him in hot water now because he's now facing a civil lawsuit over this case.
I mean,
when are these guys going to
gotta be careful with the dick pics, man?
Yeah, and can we not believe that Jojo Diaz was drunk one night and trying to hook up with an IG girl? Like, this is not something that's like far-fetched. You know what I'm saying? He looks like he's the type that knows how to drink pretty well and get do a little partying.
Why would he put himself in that position, though, guys? Now he's gonna have to shell out some money.
You're drunk. And who knows if the IG girl said that she was 17? Most of them all pretend that they're way older than that.
So the girl was actually knows Joseph Diaz. Apparently JoJo was dating her older sister at the time, which even makes it even more worse on his end. Yeah. So
he wanted to get sisters. All right. JoJo, damn, you wanted to keep it in the family? No, this is not a laughing matter. You got to take these allegations seriously, but at the same time, it's not criminal, which usually means that there was not enough information or data or enough evidence to criminally prosecute someone. So now they want money, so they're going the civil route. So it's a situation where we'd rather him not be in a civil lawsuit when we're trying to see a Ryan Garcia versus JoJo Diaz. Yeah, that's what that means. But by all means, let's not act like you guys haven't been drunk one night and was.
Hey, I've never done that. I've never done that. Never.
Wait a minute. Your tail is when you do this with your nose. Like your tail is like, I wouldn't do that. You've done it plenty times.
I'm sniffling. That's why. No, but
I'm just saying, no guy is perfect. Okay, we know what y'all are led by. If any woman doesn't know what men are obviously led by, then you need to sign up for, score A's, class on
I
me.
I get what you're saying, Shakura, but the key aspect in this situation was the girl was a minor. So
17 and on IG and probably pretending that she was older than that. Who knows? I mean, they saying that he dated the sister or whatever. Like, I don't know about these things. I thought JoJo was married. I didn't even know he was single. But I mean, that doesn't matter either. Because like I said, men are led by certain things.
So
and it ain't boxing gloves.
Other big
I don't see that this would have an effect on his career though.
Yeah, like I said, if it was something really criminal, it would have been a criminal.
Well, ESPN reported it, so I do think that it was important to note. And then even more crazier, and Lucas, maybe we'll have to get Syrian in on this particular incident, but this right here is something that's been going in his front page news, even with Yahoo. But guys, the promoter in Ireland, Daniel Kinahan, Daniel Kinahan is now severely targeted by the police right now, and the feds, and everybody is after him for operating a criminal organization.
Wow.
So it looks like Bob Arum, who had ties with him previously, is now cutting ties on the promoter because he's now being sanctioned by the U.S. over his ties for the criminal organization. And he actually is.
You're saying he's a godfather. You're saying that the boxing promoter is in the mafia, basically. It's organized crime. That's what you tell me.
So there's allegations that he's a drug kingpin.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It says that the U.S. ambassador to Ireland said in a news conference in Dublin that the Department of Treasury is offering a reward of $5 million to information that will lead to the financial destruction of the Kinahan crime gang and arrest of its leaders. And
you know what that means, right? Like he's put orders out for people to be killed before. Like that's what that.
I don't want to speculate. I just want to go with the news.
Say allegedly. That's what it sound like to me. Them Godfather types that when they're at the top of the food chain with these organized crimes, like they do put out the hit when somebody's not cooperating, allegedly. So I feel like everybody want to cut ties with him now and everything, but. I mean, did he have something to do with the fight that they just had in Ireland with our unified champ? Was he a part of that or I mean, Bob Arum, that's the only fight I can think of that was in Ireland that Top Rank and ESPN linked up on. Like, I mean, Bob is consistently doing business with this guy.
Well, he was the founder of the boxing management company MTK Global. He has ties with, of course, Tyson Fury. He's seen with Tyson Fury numerous times, And I think that's where the connection came in between him and Bob Arum. And then they did attempt to organize a big fight against Anthony Joshua through his management company that never materialized. So it was definitely somebody who Arum was looking at least doing business with.
He had no choice but to do business if he was affiliated with Tyson Fury at some point. But yeah, this is not anything that a boxing fan would want to, like, you know, really get involved in. I don't think that Bob Arum would have been doing business with him if he thought that he was, you know, like a crime boss. So I'm okay with like that this is just, you know, a part of being in boxing on a professional level. When it comes to the business behind the scenes, you have to deal with some shady characters sometime in boxing. They're boxing promoters, you know, they're managers. There's, you know, people that are con artists that pretend they got, you know, boxing unions and take boxers' money. Like, you know, these are some of the things that I've explored and interviewed myself. So we can't, I mean, is anybody surprised? I mean, because we're in boxing, no, we ain't surprised that happened. I mean, I thought a bigger story though was that BoxRec is actually being sued along with some other counter defendants for not reporting certain fights. What's her name? Amadash. You remember that fighter? Amadou, she is a part of that lawsuit, and she's claiming that she fought in Dubai, and some of the fights, I guess, were not actually reported on BoxRec. And so she is pursuing that. She also mentioned the ABC, you know, basically stating that they knew about the situation and never tried to correct it. But I do know that they have more of a newer president there, so I don't think that, you know, Mr. Tim should be necessarily in that lawsuit, being as though he had just recently taken that role of president on, and he is the one that actually forced the WBA to tighten up on some of these titles.
So the ABC is that body. The ABC is the body that oversees all the boxing councils. Is that it?
Yes, the referees and the commissions
Okay.
throughout. Association of Boxing Commissioners.
They all sleep in the same bed.
Yeah, so but what I'm saying is he had just taken over this his role as president recently, but he was named as one of those defendants. The thing is BoxRec, I know you guys have known that a certain fights that are overseas in different locations sometimes were not being reported on. And now that a new regime came in for BoxRec and started charging these promoters to post their fights and different things, I think some things have fallen through the cracks, because I was told, like, you know, right away that they were like, wow, I couldn't even, you know, post my wins until I paid this bill, or they sent me a bill before I even had the fight saying I needed to pay. So BoxRec, she may have an issue with the actual promoters of the card too, because if you don't pay them fees, they are not going to post the results.
That's business.
And that's where they're at with that. It's like they got to make money too. They're trying to keep record of everything now in combat sports, from the UFC, MMA, kickboxing, bare knuckle, and boxing. So, and they're like, we got to get paid for doing this stuff. So if people don't pay, then they don't get that on they're not reporting it.
Right, but business is business.
Right. But I don't know if they paid. I'm just saying, like, that could be a part of it, is that they didn't pay, the promoter didn't pay the fee to have the results of that particular fight done. Now, the fight was supposedly in Dubai, and we know that those are some heavy hitters over there. They do have money. So I could be, you know, it's just speculation. But that's one thing that happens and a reason why things are not reported on BoxRec now is when that promoter does not pay what they're supposed to pay.
Yeah, I've heard local promoters complaining about it as well. So it's just a shock to their system, I'm sure. You know, before BoxRec was doing it for free, and now they're like, hey, we ain't doing that shit no more. I want some money. So yeah, I don't know really whose side I'm on with that, but I get it. I get the struggle there.
I mean, you're a nonprofit or you're a company, and you can't have people working nonstop 24/7 on recording all of this stuff, and nobody's getting paid. I mean, and there's upkeep for the you know, for the technical aspects of the website down to, you know, just freeing up time for these people to be able to document all this stuff.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, there should be a fee if we want it done correctly.
For sure.
Well, we all depend on it.
Right. But it's not fair to the boxers when it doesn't happen, because, like, you know, for her, it's like I'm not getting one of my fights recorded, which also means that I'm not getting ranked high as I should be. You see what I'm saying? Like there's an effect with that.
Well, the ranking really shouldn't be going on BoxRec, I would hope. I mean,
they have a ranking. They do show the rankings. They have a world and they have a U.S. Ranking system up there. So that, you know, whenever somebody beats someone, or
I thought you were talking like WBA rankings, but I get what you mean.
No.
I get what you mean. No. Rob, did you have anything else? I think that's about it. I did want to go over CJ Hooker's prediction. Said, I think Spence will hit the canvas and rally to win.
Wow, he thinks Spence gonna hit the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think Spence got a real hellified chin. I don't know about that.
It's interesting.
Good luck with that, CJ.
It's been a great show. Thank you all for tuning in. Definitely thank you, James, Sakura, and Rob. And like I said, it's Tough Talk Tuesday every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check us out on all social media at Heavy Bag Boxing, and we'll see you again next week.